every time Marcia turns around, they hand her a blue ribbon or something.
Oh, now, Jan, you know that isn't so. Marcia's worked very hard for those things.
Well, all I hear all day long at school is how great Marcia is at this or how wonderful Marcia did that. Marcia, Marcia, Marcia.
Hi, does Peter Brady live here?
Yeah,
May I see him?
sure.
Would you call him, please?
I'm him.
When we think of the Brady Bunch, we immediately recall a model family with perfect smiles and gentle moral lessons that warmed millions of doorsteps throughout the 60s and 70s. However, would you believe that behind that glittering velvet curtain lies a completely different reality? From the painful depths of addiction and misplaced infatuations between cast members to bizarre production details like a house that didn't have a single toilet. It all forms a turbulent behind-the-scenes picture that the camera lens never revealed. Join me as we peel back 20 shocking truths and dark secrets hidden for half a century, proving that the Brady family was never as flawless as we once imagined. 1. Barry Williams high on set. Do you think Barry Williams was just the exemplary and humorous young Greg Brady we saw on screen? Well, you might be disappointed to learn that in real life, Barry once terrified the entire production crew by smoking up right during work hours. While every staff member was racing against time to complete a scene, Barry was hiding in a corner of the studio, secretly overindulging in his own relaxation. Ironically, at the very height of his high, he received an urgent summons to return to the camera for additional takes for the episode titled Law and Disorder. When Barry finally appeared, the entire crew stood frozen. His eyes were glassy and vacant. His footsteps were unsteady and his lines came out as rigid as a robot's. To save the situation and hide the young star's Cloud 9 state from the public, the crew had to frantically revise the script on the spot, minimizing Barry's role in that episode as much as possible. Later on, Barry admitted it was a reckless accident of his youth, but that awkward and risky moment remains one of the most heart-stopping behind-the-scenes secrets in the history of the Brady family. 2. The mistreatment of Cindy Brady's hair. The golden curls of little Cindy Brady that we once adored were actually the result of a painful process. Child actress Susan Olsen naturally had blonde hair, but the shade wasn't vibrant enough to satisfy the filmmaker's visual ambitions. As a result, she had to endure constant chemical bleaching throughout the first season to achieve the producer's dream color. The price for that shimmering look was far too high. Susan's hair began to fall out in large clumps, leaving the young girl in a state of panic. It was only when her family vehemently intervened that this extreme beauty process was halted. From the second season onward, Cindy was allowed to return to her natural hair color. This sad story serves as a testament to the harshness of Hollywood, at the time where on-screen aesthetics were sometimes prioritized over the physical and mental well-being of a child. 3. Tiger's tragic death. Under the wheels. Tiger, the faithful, four-legged friend of the Brady family, was once an inseparable part of the warm frames in the first season. However, audiences surely felt a sense of loss when the dog suddenly vanished without a single explanation. The truth behind this disappearance is a tragic accident. Tiger passed away under the wheels of a car during a filming session. The crew tried to find a replacement dog with a similar appearance, but the new actor could not cooperate or interact as well as the original Tiger. After many futile attempts to train the new dog, the producers made the cold decision to write Tiger out of the script entirely. This departure without a goodbye left a mysterious void in the hearts of viewers for decades. The story of Tiger is a somber memory, reminding us that even in the laughter-filled world of the Bradys, silent losses occurred that the camera lens chose to overlook. 4. Barry Williams and the forbidden off-screen romance. It sounds hard to believe, but it is a poignant truth of youth. Barry Williams, then just a 16-year-old teenager, openly admitted that his heart skipped a beat for Florence Henderson, the woman who played his mother on set. Although Florence was 36 and in her prime at the time, the generation gap couldn't stop Barry's infatuation as he gathered the courage to ask his mother out for dinner. To create a lasting memory, Florence smilingly agreed. In Barry's eyes, that evening might have been a romantic date, but for Florence it was simply a gentle indulgence for a young colleague who was just learning how to be an adult. However, the media of the time did not miss the opportunity to weave sensational stories. They turned an intimate dinner into a shocking scandal, causing rumors of a forbidden relationship between the Brady mother and son to spread like wildfire. Florence had to step forward and clarify multiple times, asserting that their bond was always crystal clear. Yet in his later memoir, Barry still affectionately refers to her as the first woman, who taught him what it felt like to have his heart flutter. This remains one of the strangest and most memorable behind-the-scenes anecdotes in American television history. 5. Maureen McCormick. The shadows behind Marcia Brady's smile. Don't let the perfect beauty and radiant smile of the eldest Brady daughter deceive you. Behind the brilliant halo, Maureen McCormick endured the darkest chapters of her life, immediately after the Brady Bunch ended. Once the cameras stopped rolling, she fell straight into the abyss of depression and persistent addiction, causing her promising career to vanish into thin air. Maureen once bitterly confessed to long nights lost in the extravagant parties at the Playboy Mansion. Perhaps the greatest heartbreak of her career was losing a golden opportunity she was unable to attend an audition for legendary director Steven Spielberg for the blockbuster Raiders of the Lost Ark, simply because she was in a drug-induced state. Despite a past riddled with mistakes, Maureen bravely faced her own darkness to stand back up and start over. Her story is a stark reminder that behind the glittering stage lights of Hollywood, there are always fierce internal battles that the public rarely sees. 6. Marcia injured. After the fateful throw. The moment Marcia Brady was struck in the nose by a football has become one of the most classic comedic clips in the series. However, few know that the collision was entirely real and not staged. Initially, actor Christopher Knight, who played Peter, tried many times to throw the ball but kept missing the target. In an effort to save the scene, producer Lloyd Schwartz took matters into his own hands, and his precise throw hit Maureen McCormick square in the face. The irony was that before the scene began, Maureen had accidentally swollen her face in a real-life minor accident. Thus, the bruise seen on screen after the collision was not a product of the makeup artist's hand, but actual pain she had to endure. This strange coincidence created a moment so authentic it was staggering, proving that sometimes the most real things on film stem from unexpected incidents in reality. 7. America's dad loathed the role of Mike Brady. The image of the exemplary warm Mike Brady has long been etched into the minds of audiences. But behind that dignified demeanor was a soul of an artist filled with conflict. Robert Reed, a classically trained Shakespearean actor, always felt trapped and looked down upon the script of a family sitcom he considered too naive and shallow. He did not hesitate to criticize illogical plot points, frequently sending the producers lengthy memos demanding realism and logic for his character. The peak of these conflicts occurred when Robert vehemently opposed the script of the final episode, claiming it was too detached from reality. The heated arguments between him and the creative team lasted for 5 years, reaching such a tension that he was completely absent from the episode that concluded the Brady family's journey. Despite always feeling out of place and dissatisfied with the role, Robert Reed still dedicated his full talent to delivering the image of the ideal father, a paradox worthy of respect in the career of a true artist. 8. The bathroom that never had a toilet. If you observe the Brady house closely, you will discover a highly illogical detail. The children's shared bathroom has no toilet whatsoever. This was not a basic design flaw by the production team, but rather a result of the strict moral codes of 1970s American television. At that time, showing a toilet on TV was considered indelicate and inappropriate for a family show. To pass through this rigorous censorship, the filmmakers chose to completely eliminate the presence of the toilet bowl. Even though scenes of daily life like brushing teeth or washing faces proceeded normally. This quirky absence turned the Brady bathroom into a humorous topic of conversation for fans later on. They called it the magic bathroom, a place where the most basic human needs seem to evaporate to preserve the purity of the perfect sitcom world. 9. Debbie Storm lost the role over a hair color. The road to fame in Hollywood sometimes depends on the smallest details, as in the case of actress Debbie Storm. Initially, she was the one chosen for the role of John Brady and received high praise from the production team. However, when Debbie was placed in the group lineup, creator Sherwood Schwartz noticed a visual disharmony. Her hair did not match the other two sisters, Marcia and Cindy, who both possessed vibrant blonde hair. The desire for absolute visual symmetry caused Debbie to be replaced by Eve Plum at the last minute. Though she missed out on the lead role, the producers invited Debbie to participate in a small guest role as a tribute to her talent. This story serves as a powerful testament that in the golden age of television, sometimes appearance and visual uniformity were decisive factors in an actor's fate, turning a hair color into a barrier between them and the spotlight. 10. Florence Henderson meets the Star Trek cast. During her early career-building years, Florence Henderson had a bittersweet memory tied to legends of the science fiction genre. While going for an audition, she accidentally walked into the wrong dressing room, the one for the Star Trek crew. Standing in an unfamiliar room, Florence found herself sitting next to two iconic faces, William Shatner, Captain Kirk, and Leonard Nimoy, Spock, as they prepared for their roles. What is interesting and somewhat bitter is that both major stars completely ignored her presence. Neither realized that the stranger sitting next to them would soon become one of the greatest mothers in television history. Florence often recounted this story with a witty smile, calling it the weirdest moment of her career. This accidental intersection between two opposing cinematic worlds created a delightful little anecdote about the early days of Legends. 11. Jan Brady's black wig and interesting subliminal messages. The episode where Jan Brady decides to wear a black wig to assert her own personality has become one of the most iconic scenes of the show. However, hidden behind this comedic plot point is a subtle Easter egg for keen-eyed viewers. In the party Jan attends, the hostess is named Lucy, a name chosen quite intentionally by the writing team. The actress playing Lucy was guest star Pamela Furton. The interest lies in the fact that Pamela was the voice of the famous Lucy Van Pelt in the Peanuts animated series. Integrating a character name that matched the guest star's most famous role was a clever and graceful tribute, showing the filmmakers' attention to detail and creating interesting links between contemporary pop culture works. 12. Romance between Barry Williams and Maureen McCormick. Greg and Marcia Brady may have been close siblings on screen, but behind the lens, Barry Williams and Maureen McCormick wrote a romantic song of youth together. It all began to spark when the whole crew flew to Hawaii to film a series of special episodes. Between the sunsets painting the beaches gold and the sound of rustling waves, The two young actors could not stop their hearts from fluttering for one another. However, this budding romance immediately met with concern from producer Sherwood Schwartz. He feared that personal emotions would disrupt the working atmosphere and affect the show's image. To control the situation, the director had to apply strict measures requiring the two to maintain distance and even using clever camera angles to hide excessive intimacy between them in shared scenes. That brief romance remains a beautiful, vibrant, yet troubled memory of youth under the Hawaiian sun. 13. Christopher Knight, the reluctant singer. Christopher Knight, who played Peter Brady, was a promising actor, but when he stepped into the realm of music, he faced immense challenges. Throughout the production of the musical episodes, Christopher always faced a sense of insecurity as he did not possess a natural singing voice. He frequently struggled to stay on key and catch the rhythm, making singing scenes an obsession for himself and the crew. Instead of hiding this flaw, the producers were incredibly clever to turn that clumsiness into a characteristic charm for Peter. In high-stakes segments, they used lip-syncing techniques or staging to make Peter appear with a hilariously disastrous singing voice, most notably in the song Time to Change. Christopher's effort and optimistic spirit turned personal weaknesses into classic comedic moments, contributing to the authentic and relatable beauty of the Brady children's coming-of-age journey. 14. The Miraculous Rebirth via reruns. Few know that when it first debuted, the Brady Bunch never made it to the list of top-rated shows and was even snubbed by critics for content deemed a bit too rosy. However, a miraculous turn occurred when the show was syndicated for reruns in the late 1970s. Those afternoon rerun slots inadvertently became a bridge bringing the Brady family to a whole new generation of young viewers, children who rushed home from school to turn on the TV for those familiar stories. This late explosion transformed a normal sitcom into an immortal cultural icon. The fame skyrocketing from reruns not only elevated the cast to A-list status, but also paved the way for a new era of feature films and reunion specials. The success story of the Bradys proved a deep truth. The real value of a work sometimes lies not in its initial ratings, but in how it persistently stays in the hearts of audiences over many decades. 15. Florence Henderson's absence from the first 6 episodes. In the first 6 episodes of the Brady Bunch, audiences might notice the strange absence of the mother, Carol Brady. In reality, when the show began filming, Florence Henderson was still tied up with a busy schedule for a musical project in New York. To avoid disrupting the crew's progress, the producers were forced to use a body double for wide shots or segments, where Carol's face was not clearly visible. Only when Florence officially completed her previous work and joined the crew did the soul of Carol Brady's character truly light up. With her natural grace and positive energy, she quickly filled the initial void and made Carol the central woman of the family. The crew's wait was finally rewarded with an exemplary mother figure who, alongside Mike Brady, created a perfect home in the eyes of millions of viewers. 16. Inspiration from dry statistics. The seed of the idea for the Brady Bunch did not actually come from a fictional story, but from a scientific article in the Los Angeles Times in 1965. That piece pointed out a changing social reality where 31% of marriages in America at the time were between people who already had children from previous relationships. Sherwood Schwartz immediately saw the potential for a story reflecting this new family structure. Initially, the idea of a blended family was flatly rejected by many television networks for fear that audiences would not accept this difference. However, Schwartz's persistence paid off after the success of a few contemporary films on similar themes, leading producers to take a more open-minded look. In 1969, the Brady family officially stepped onto the screen carrying the mission of representing a generation of modern families where love could mend different pieces into a perfect whole. 17. Strict hair color standards and Bobby's sacrifice. In the world of Sherwood Schwartz, visual synchronization was a survival factor in creating an ideal family on screen. He established a very rigorous selection process, grouping child actors based on hair color to ensure they matched their parents. When Florence Henderson with her blonde hair was cast as the mother, the fate of the children characters was determined accordingly. An ironic situation occurred for Mike Lookinland, who played the youngest son, Bobby Brady. Possessing naturally brown hair, he had to accept dyeing. His hair blonde continuously throughout 5 years of broadcasting to become a perfect piece of the family. The silent sacrifice of a young boy for a role showed the producers extreme attention to image, turning a hair color into an inseparable part of the character's identity in the eyes of the public. 18. Florence Henderson's return and new vitality. As mentioned before, Florence Henderson missed the first 6 episodes of the show due to musical projects. However, the moment she officially stepped onto the set marked a major turning point for the entire series. More than just an actress, replacing the role of Carol, Florence brought a warm demeanor and intelligence and a subtle wit that few possessed. She quickly bonded the child actors with the instincts of a real mother, helping the set atmosphere become as close as a real family. Carol Brady, under Florence's portrayal, was not just a capable wife and mother, but a symbol of understanding and tolerance. This late but brilliant appearance helped solidify the Brady Bunch's status, making Carol Brady one of the most beloved mothers in world cinematic history. 19. Christopher Knight and a ear-piercing coming-of-age lesson. Throughout the show's 5-year journey, audiences witnessed the true growth of the child actors, and Peter Brady, Christopher Knight, was perhaps the one who brought the most laughter through this change. Due to a lack of natural musical talent, Christopher's singing voice was always a difficult puzzle for the production team. Instead of hiding it, they cleverly integrated his puberty-induced voice, cracking into the script to create classic comedic situations. In scenes where Peter had to sing with an ear-piercing duck voice, the crew actually had to use extra support from behind the scenes to increase the comedic effect. Despite the disastrous singing, Christopher's courage in facing his personal flaws made Peter's character incredibly authentic and endearing. Those efforts brought not only laughter to the audience, but also a priceless memory of the turbulent youth of the actors on set. 20. Carol Brady was originally a divorcee. In the very first draft of the script, Sherwood Schwartz wanted Carol Brady to be a divorced woman, a true reflection of the social changes in late 1960s America. He yearned to bring a more open perspective on heartbreak and new beginnings. However, at that time, the concept of divorce was a topic far too sensitive and almost forbidden on family-oriented television networks. To ensure the show's safety under network censorship, Carol's past was intentionally kept secret. While Mike Brady was clearly a widower, the story of how Carol became a single mother remains a large question mark that was never addressed. This mysterious silence did not diminish the character's appeal. On the contrary, it created an elegant aura for Carol, a woman always looking toward a happy future, without letting the ghosts of the past overshadow it. From real-life stories behind-the-scenes drama to quirky and unbelievable details, the Brady Bunch transcended the boundaries of a simple family sitcom to become a cultural phenomenon with far-reaching influence. Which fact surprised you the most? Share your thoughts and stay tuned for more fascinating stories from the world of television.